Hi. I'm not recording. Stick. Thank you.
I can stay there really short.
Aww.
Why don't you get yourself a bigger watch? They'll fit around your, what do you call it, bicep, you know, I mean, like that. Oh, that's what's called a clock. Don't laugh, Miss Owen, I'm gonna charge you extra, all right?
Oh.
Okay, so now, let's see what we have in this particular model. Fine. So here, it basically is the scrotal sac, all right? Here is a testis with actually one of the connective tissue membranes, which I'll talk about in the lecture, around it. All right? This structure here is a very coiled epididymis. It's a very long tube, but it's so tightly coiled that it fits into a relatively compact package. Leading from the epididymis will be the vas deferens or ductus deferens going over the pubis, okay, around the urinary bladder, which is this. As you can see, it enlarges a little bit, which we've called the ampulla. It looks much better here than it did in anything I showed you on a screen or anything like that. The a seminal vesicle, you can see here, sort of looks glandular, is glandular. All right. And if you look at down here, you'll see they almost meet over here. And they sort of disappear into the prostate gland. All right? They sort of disappear into the prostate over here. This would be the sort of terminal end of a ureter going into the urinary bladder. Now, what else do I see here first, before we go any further? Here you see a series of blood vessels, right? Okay. Now, very important. I'm going to go over this in the lecture, but this is important. You may recall that I said that the testes of the male are descended from the body to maintain a few degrees lower, degrees Celsius, than the internal body temperature. Now, did I mention anything about heat and heat transfer? Yes?
Yes,
I
with
did.
veins.
With what?
With the arteries and veins.
Okay, I did. Okay. So here you could see that the testicular artery coming down will be surrounded by these veins going up. So there'll be a heat transfer from the arteries to the veins, which means that the temperature of the blood flowing to the testes would be lower than internal body temperature. What we've called, if I mentioned that, I'm sure I used the word counter-current system. Okay, fine. Now, again, looking at this model here, obviously here is the penis. This enlarged area is called the glans penis, or we sometimes just abbreviate it as the glans, G-L-A-N-S. Here, over the glans, you'll see the foreskin or prepuce, which, as I said, is removed when a person has a circumcision. I tell my people always, make sure you are very specific about it and say circumcision rather than castration.
Mercy.
They both begin with a C, but you better be very careful. They are somewhat different.
Yes,
Oh,
they
we're
are.
very different.
Just thought I'd remind you. Now, here, you could see the urinary bladder section, the urethra coming from the urinary bladder here. Now, the prostate in section would be over here. This is the ejaculatory duct, here, a piece of it actually, which results here. The ejaculatory duct, well, this looks the same on the other side too, which is the duct which is connecting both the seminal vesicle and the vas deferens. And the contents of these are going into the ejaculatory duct, which is going to meet the urethra, which many times we refer to as the prostatic urethra, only because it's coming through the prostate. The urethra is now going to continue through the penis, through the urethral orifice, which is right here at the tip of the penis. The urethra through the penis is sometimes referred to as the spongy urethra. As far as I am concerned, as I told you previously, if you just use the word urethra, if I pointed to this or this, as far as I'm concerned, it's okay.
Good.
Because obviously, here it's going through the prostate, here it's going through the penis. So it's not that I'm asking this on a lecture exam, you know, where you have to identify certain things.
Okay.
Now, remember we talked about the erectile tissue in the penis, and that would include here the corpus cavernosum. This would be one of them. In fact, in this case, it would be the one on the right side, and here would be, let's say, the one on the left side.
Corpus cavernosa.
Corpus, or plural, it would be corpora cavernosa, because this is of Latin derivation. So that's the way you would make it. Now, on my exam on a practical, if by some chance you use the plural for the singular or the singular for the plural, I wouldn't worry about it. So don't worry as how am I going to say it, plural or singular? Does he mean the plural or the singular? Don't worry about that. I got the idea. Okay? All right? You look very military.
I am.
Okay. Okay. You have to be very careful. Are you packing heat or not?
I'm not.
See, I have these terms. I know all this stuff. Okay? Never shot a pistol in my life. Rifles, yes. Pistols. Okay. Anyway, here, again, you could see the scrotal sac. All right? This would be the testis. You can't really make out anything with the testis with regard to seminiferous tubules.
Right.
Okay. And here, right here, would be a section through the epididymis. And what you see here, these little ends, are just the ends of the epididymal tubules. You know, because it's basically something that's looking like this.
Right.
And if you slice it through, you'll see the ends, like so. I think that this white over here, I don't know when it was painted in. If it was painted in with originally or someone did it afterwards. I think these are the Cooper's glands or bulbourethral glands.
That's what.
Another name of the bulbourethral glands are the Cooper's glands, which is spelled C-O-W-P-E-R''S. In other words, if you looked at it, you'd say Cowper's.
Okay.
I'm saying it Cooper's because that's more like the real pronunciation. You know how things are pronounced very differently than
Right.
sometimes they are spelled.
God bless you.
You call them bulbourethral is the official technical name. You okay, Miss Jean?
We'll get out.
You smelling, is somebody smoking something that's getting into? All right.
One in the Sensei.
It's not me. I take a bath every 6 months, whether I need to or not. All right? It's another one of my lines. Once every semester, no matter where I'm teaching. All right? I think that should do it for this.
Cool.
Okay. Oh, I love that sound. All right. Okay.
Stop it.
Now,
So we save it?
now, let's look at the female. All right. Okay. Obviously, we'll start with the same, gonadal region. So here you have an ovary, and leading from the ovary would be the uterine tubes or fallopian tubes. Here, what they've done, they've painted the fimbriae in red.
Okay.
Why red? I don't know. Anyway, here would be a urinary bladder. Here would be a ureter, same way. What else do I see in this model looking down? I see some of the external genitalia. I could see here the labia majora or labum majus being singular. Again, whether you pluralize or singular, have no fear. Here would be the labia minora. All right. Here, I believe you can see, I think this is supposed to be that Bartholin gland over here. Okay. Bartholin, B-A-R-T-H-O-L-I-N. I had to close my eyes to see the way it was spelled.
Something we need
All
to
right.
know for the exam?
No, I said you didn't have to know it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did say you didn't have to know it. I'm not going back on that. But I am pointing it out because somebody may find something in a key, you know what I mean? And you'll say, well, what's going on? All right? Fine. So now let's take this out. And here we'll be able to see, here deep, I know you can't see it, but it's over here. You can see deep another ovary. This would be the right ovary, the right fallopian tube, and the right fimbriae, etc. They would be in here.
Okay.
Okay. Like you saw, this would be a left one, this would be a right one. All right.
Okay.
Now, here is the uterus.
Wait, question, on the test, do we have to write right family, no?
No, no, I'm not gonna worry. It's much more important when we're dealing with the heart and blood vessels to know right from left,
Okay.
rather than here,
Good.
okay? Yes, you would have to know it if you were doing surgery on it.
Yes.
You know, you don't wanna operate on the left when you're supposed to on the right.
Right.
Don't you laugh.
It has
How
to-
many times have this, the worst thing that can happen to you is you go into a hospital. That's what my mother was worried, you know, my parents' generation, worst thing you could do was go into the hospital, because you usually didn't come out.
Mercy.
But that was a while ago.
Right.
That was and too many people of my parents' generation were so afraid of this kind of a thing that they never got nearly the medical care that they should have.
Wow.
True, true. Because now you're looking at me as the old guy, think of my parents as the old. Although they didn't live that, my father, I told you, died at 46, my mother 56, from a stroke. So I've way outlived both my parents. What was
Yeah,
it?
but I was gonna say, like, they were just starting to discover the stuff in the body, so they would make a
Well,
lot of
we're not
mistakes.
going back, this is not the 1800s, I'm sorry. All right?
That was,
Okay.
that was
Not that far back. Anyway, so here would be the uterus, all right? Okay, common term womb, W-O-M-B, I prefer uterus. Okay. Now, here would be the endometrial lining. The perimetrium is literally on the outside. So this is inside, outside, and what's between them would be the myometrium. What's red and blue here, I would suspect they're supposed to be blood vessels, you know. This area in here, from here to the out, would be the cervix. Your cervix, lady, does not include this thing. All right. Which leads into the vagina or vaginal canal, which leads to the outside. All right. So here you could see the urinary bladder and a separate urethra going to the outside. Here would be the clitoris over here. I don't know, whatever number it's supposed to be, 20, whatever it is. So this is the clitoris.
The white part.
Labia majora, minora, clitoris. Okay, all part of the external genitalia of the female. All right, very good. Let me put this back. And let's go to this plaque. This
Yes.
is interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. All right.
Sorry.
Now, in the lecture, we're going to go into much more detail than I would be going into now. Just want to let you know. All right. Okay, so what do I have here? Well, this is the menstrual cycle. What's going on is obviously the females monthly, normally, are shedding the endometrium, the sort of portion of the endometrial lining that has become engorged with blood and glandular tissue. It's almost like a spongy mass at about that time. The reason for a woman's period menstrual, the beginning of menses, as the official term is used, has to do with interrelationships between hormones.
Okay.
And we're going to discuss that in the lecture, not now. Okay? Fine. But even before that, I want to point out a few things over here, because the menstrual cycle does coincide with what's going on with the ovaries in the ovarian cycle. Okay, what is going on? Right. Here you see, and I'll say this now, we have been for as long as I can remember assuming that women are born with all the eggs she is ever going to have.
Right.
There is, however, some recent studies that may say, you see how I'm hedging? Because I'm hedging on purpose. That may infer that possibly new ones may form. You heard how I hedged everything, which is the way the reports are.
Right.
Okay, but forget about that. Let's assume that you're going to have all the eggs you're ever going to have. Now, some of them start maturing, okay, at puberty. And you're going to have these beginnings, what we call the primary follicles. All right. We're going to discuss the chromosome contents of these in the lecture. As I said, I could talk about this, but we're getting a lot of big deal stuff, technical stuff in the lecture. And these primary follicles will eventually become secondary follicles, which will eventually become something here called a Graafian follicle. A follicle, remember like we talked about the thyroid and the follicles? Well, basically a follicle is like a sac. That's what a follicle is.
Okay.
And here would be your secondary oocyte, and this is what they call a tertiary oocyte, O-O-C-Y-T-E. We usually put the two dots over the second O, which signifies a separation in the vowels, so that we don't, if we had two O-O, you would want to say oocyte, right?
Right.
But by putting the two dots above the second O, we separate the vowels, so O-O.
Okay.
Like, did I ever tell you, like, for example, if you're in Hawaii, you know, the women sometimes wear that sort of like garment, which we've commonly called a muumuu. You ever hear that term?
Yes.
Muumuu? In Hawaiian, which has an awful lot of vowels, few consonants, what you have is spelled M-U-U, which is not pronounced mu. So it's M-U-U-M-U-U. So it's not moo-moo. It's, listen to this, moo-moo. You separate the two U's. Did you hear what I said? Moo-moo. And that's the way it's pronounced in Hawaiian. No, I don't know Hawaiian. I know a few words, but not too much. Okay. Although a lot of people say a lot of moo-moos wear moo-moos, if you get the implication.
Yes.
But that's a separate issue entirely. Okay. Now, this Graafian follicle here, as it's referred, which is G-R-A-A-F-I-A-N. G-R-A-A-F-I-A-N. Okay. And this here, this fluid here will contain loads of estrogen. All right? Now, let's go back. Let's go to this one. Okay? Let's go to this one. Okay. Here, you see this C over here? This is C over here. So this and this are identical. By the way, this usually forms a little bulge, like if you had a big boil on your ovary. And then ovulation. So this would be ovulation over here. So this secondary oocyte is ovulated, which, see, here it's over here being ovulated, here over here, which is going to be picked up. Here are the fimbriae, here are the uterine tubes, Oh, son of a gun, here it is. Here they are. Holy mackerel, look at them go. All right. Now, if this is the menstrual cycle, obviously this woman is not going to be pregnant,
Right.
or even a little bit pregnant. All right? Fine. That was always a
Just a
joke
little
that my biology people and I used to kibitz about a little bit pregnant, because you can't be a little bit pregnant. But it was sort of an inside joke. All right, these are the kinds of jokes that we had, you know, like, which to nobody would be funny, but we would go ha 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 ha. All right. Anyway, so now this is ovulated. See, it's going here and it's traveling over here. Now, what's happening next in the ovary? All right. Where this had been ovulated, you're going to have it infused now with glandular cells, which make this a sort of slightly yellowish in color. And the name we give to this is called the corpus, which means body. Like corpse. Corpus is Latin. Corpus luteum. L-U-T-E-U-M. What is luteum?
It was
Yellow.
in the exam.
Luteum,
That was in the
luteum.
exam.
Anything with that base means
Corpus
yellow.
luteum was in the exam.
All right?
Oh yeah.
So, yellow body.
I remember luteinizing.
What does it do? It secretes progesterone.
Oh.
So the corpus luteum secretes the progesterone. What does the progesterone do? The progesterone maintains the endometrial lining of the uterus. Why do I need it? Well, all of this is going on with anticipation of fertilization of the egg. So this is what the female body is preparing every month, to have an egg fertilized, and you want that endometrial lining, which is really now spongy with blood, glandular material, to receive a fertilized egg after about the sixth day after conception. All right, we'll discuss that in the lecture. Okay. Now, but most of the time, the female doesn't become pregnant. Of course, somebody may know somebody who's always pregnant, you know.
Like when the wind blow.
Like a woman has 20 children. I think there's somebody out there that has some reality show.
The Duggars.
I mean, these reality shows, I mean, doesn't have anybody have anything better to do than watch this crap on TV? All right. So somebody said, boy, are they sexy. Nah, they did it 20 times. All right. All right. Anyway. Assuming there is no conception, assuming the female doesn't become pregnant,
So Charles was right.
what's going to happen, and I will explain why in the lecture, this is going to deteriorate into a whitish looking body. It like degenerates into this whitish body called a corpus albicans. A-L-B-A is white. Like there's an actress, Jessica Alba or something like that.
Yeah.
And technically her name would be Jessica White if it was in English.
Okay.
Did you ever hear of the Italian composer Giuseppe Verdi opera? Very famous. In English, his name would be Joe White. I mean, Joe Green. Verdi means what?
Green.
All right? Giuseppe, and Giuseppe in Italian is Joseph. So his name would have been Joseph Green if it would be an American. It sounds better if you're writing opera
Yes.
to be Giuseppe Verdi. Doesn't it sound a little more operatic?
Yeah.
Giuseppe Verdi. Hey, Joe Green. Right. Okay. And that is what I've just given you is the ovarian cycle.
Oh.
Now, what's going to happen is that the lining is going to be, increased. Here it's developing more. Now, if this deteriorates, you're not going to have the progesterone being secreted, right? And so what's going to happen? Since I said the progesterone maintains this endometrial lining, what's going to happen? The beginning of menses, which is considered day 1 in the menstrual cycle. Okay, and here basically is the onset of menstruation. And the whole thing begins again. Cool?
Yeah.
No, should have never been invented.
What did you say? What did he say, McCoy? What did you say, McCoy?
I said it should have never been invented.
Should have never been it, though. Let's put it this way, then you certainly wouldn't be here.
Exactly.
All right? All right,
They don't want to see it.
fine. And the Los Angeles